Great and beautiful morning and evening to you all, wherever you are joining me at this hour. Welcome to 589 edition of InvestData Trading Academy live with Ambrose. Yes, I'll say good news on the last trading day of the week. I think that majority of the matured market are rebounding from 5 days loss, especially Asia market. I'll tell you that as we speak now, most global markets are in green. Asia is in green now. I can see after 5 straight days of you know of pullback or panic sell-off or crisis induced or geopolitical induced sell-off. We have seen that today now. After straight 5 days, we are seeing Asia market looking in green, following what the rise we saw also in US. Good news for me that yes, we can see that fear is trying coming down gradually, but let's see how far this will be today and also the new week we are crossing to by God grace by next week. But good news, let's see what is happening in Asia market right now. That will give us an insight of what the market look like. I will tell you that the Asia market headed for the first advance in 5 days. Although the worries about the global economy keep the market under pressure, I'll tell you that I see that most of the market in that region are in green right now. Even when also we're seeing that we're seeing some currency trying to appreciate in the market for the ongoing geopolitical tension, the crisis in Ukraine, and also in Iraq, and that of Middle East, and all this accumulating that we see that the global economy is still not balanced as to speak now. But individual domain or country we are seeing a rebound. For me, it's a good news to start also the last trading day of the week. Don't forget that this is the full trading week of the month of March, and we are seeing that crisis of fear have uncertainties have dominated the market. Even when some major markets of the world try to rebound, we saw on Wednesday that Europe market zone is also trying to look up. But let's see, we look at the holistic market now today to see where we are going. But good news that despite all the crisis, we are seeing NGS remaining in green. But there's a pattern that NGS is displaying since this work started on Monday after the Saturday, first heat and wrap. That in the morning here in NGS, you see a good market rally opening, but before the day it starts trimming down. But it's also another pattern we're seeing since last Monday till now to this week. For me, it's also a pattern that's important. I'm not market trying to like form a strong resistance level at the peak of what 197, and above that place. You can see that market also trying to trend right now. For good news that market is also looking up how to speak. But for me, why all these things happening, I'll tell you that investors are still trying to see where they can also put their fund. That's why I tell you that the gold market, that the safe haven instrument, it has really appreciated this period, especially gold. Why that of oil price have oscillated because of what Trump statement here and there, and also the fear of distortion and all that. But I think that even with all the ease and all, oil price is likely to close the week what in green and good one. And for us that are oil producing countries and others, that this but it's not a news that we are seeing war, but I believe that the world leaders are coming together to see that peace reign all over the globe, so that the global economy will also find a direction as we speak now. That's a major concern now, and I believe that yes, very soon we'll see that happening. Let's look at what is happening in Europe market. We'll talk about Asia. Asia stocks, I'll tell you that Asia stocks, European stocks, we're talking about Asia, that Asia rebounded for the first 5 days. But for that of Europe stock, we're talking that the European stocks are in the green. For me, it's a good one, but heading for a kind of a heavy loss for the way, as the Middle East crisis continue to rage. But I believe that there is a good news, like I told you, that the companies in this zone actually demonstrated strength, saying that yes, numbers are coming, and this positive sentiment have supported the market to remain up, even that the grain is still fragile because of what the environment of what is happening globally. Was a good news that we're seeing that fragile thing coming up today Friday in Europe, in Asia, and that of US. US is almost flat, but likely in green field with index in green. For me, it's a good news as to speak now. But I'll tell you that with Middle East crisis, investors in this region are still weighing, are still weighing and also waiting for the release of key US economic data, especially the employment to also give more direction of where the global economy is heading. As we speak now, if you look at the major indices in this Eurozone, I tell you that the ADS index, that means Germany index, is up by 0.7, strong green this morning, and that of France CAC 40 is also in green by 0.3, and that of UK, which is the FTSE 100, is also in green by 0.2 as we speak. Despite this gain, I'll tell you that European indices are on course for what? For weekly loss of about almost around 4.8 to 5% as we speak. This is one of the largest drop since what? Since April last year, 2025. You can see the power of what? Of confusion when it comes to crisis. It has a way of distorting a lot of things, and that is what has happened, in that in that regard. And it's not only in Europe. Most of the market, like you can see that in Asia, you know where they are heading to, because numbers there are telling us that the weekly loss will also be very heavy. But good news that we're seeing a sign of a rebound. But when we go to US market, we'll get more information. The turbulent week for stock market is because of what? Because of global. That's why majority of the equity market across the globe experience this turbulent time. And I believe that as investors attempt to work out toward the likely length where this crisis will linger in Middle East, and also the potential economic impact on the global economy. That is another major thing that, even because it's entering almost the seventh day now. Tomorrow is Saturday, that started on last Saturday. How far, and has show a sign of no sign of slowing down as we speak right now. We're still seeing that the two sides are still striking. It's just saying they are entering another phase, another stuff. For us, how far, but I know that the leaders in the world are also calling for peace as Iran continue to reiterate what is happening, and that also as many of the countries in that zone, especially the Gulf states, are also trying to that they activate their own protection and all that. But let's see how it goes at the end of the day. But if this will be broadened, or this conflict also neighborhood country around there, or it will be curtailed, we'll wait and see. But I tell you that we expect that Trump also said the United States must have what a role in deciding who will be next leader of Iraq after the airstrike killed their supreme leader last week. Let's see how this goes now. But like I told you also, because of all eyes on macroeconomic data, today we expect to see the GDP figure for Eurozone that is due today. Let's see the figure that will be later today. That will also guide us into the weekend. Sorry, that against the next week. We believe that this domestic data will also give more light for the new financial year to see what we expect to see in this first quarter of the year. But that we speak now, we expect that we expect to see a kind of a slow growth of about expectation, slow growth about 0.3, annual growth of 1.3 in the final quarter of last year. However, let's see what this figure was. All eyes are on this figure. US non-farm payrolls also what also all eyes on to see later today. That will also give more insight. Expectations are that for the global economy, the world largest economy, especially US, to see that if the economy have added new jobs. Let's see the forecast about 59,000 jobs in February, after accelerating by 130,000 in January. Let's see how far. Why this unemployment rate also is a forecast to have to stay steady at 4.3. Let's see, and we're seeing more reports coming from the aviation industry in that zone in Europe that they figure the Lufthansa's reports. This is an airline company. Also the report are not looking bad at all. It's a good one. Yes, it's also good. With what is happening, let's see how the airlines also will make more money with what is happening. In Middle East uncertainties. You can see that their profit guide or projection also likely to change. Let's see how far it goes. Also, we're seeing that companies also doing buyback. In that zone. I see that Connect Holding is also ascribed in dividend by to third after free cash flow collapse by almost 80% in 2025. But let's see how these figures are going to perform. Like I said, that crude oil is set for a strong weekly gain this week. and that is also a good news for me and also for you in the market. For example, those that are oil producing countries, to speak now, oil price is trading at what, $85.68 per barrel in the international market. Good one, and this also, like, I see that all this while, can see that, can see that the crude oil have climbed in just 4 trading sessions. So this was started by almost 18%, and that is also a good one for those oil brands. Those that are, the commodity traders are also making money in that regard. The quick one, let's see what is happening also in African market. Sorry, in US market before, but let me not skip US now. What is happening in US market? US market, as we speak now, is also marginally in green, almost flat, but let's see how it goes at the end of the day as investor continue to assess the fight, that's ongoing in the Middle East and all that. Has shown that yes, few signs of easing, while according to investor data, oil prices are on the pace forward for a big weekly gain. I've said it earlier, and as fear also surround the supply chain. These are what's pushing the oil price as we speak right now. Also, all eyes are still on economic data, to see if a job report, is due to come out today in US. Let's say how far. Yes, if you look at the main indices in US, most of them are flat as we speak now. Very flat, this and stable. Sentiment remain very very fragile as we speak, as the Iran conflict enter its 7th day as we speak right now. Dangote is just down marginally by 0.2, and S&P is also slight by 0.2, and that of also NASDAQ is also flat as we speak now. Yes, as we speak that most of the major indices in that market, or average indices in that market, are saying that yes, the Wall Street is still in red, generally dragged down by this oil price also climbing, so telling them as fear continue to fear of inflation or sparking up off again after the central bank has used all their strategy, rate cut to stabilize inflation and bring it. But with this war, fear of inflation raising overhead is everywhere across the globe now. Or even when they work with the rebuilding and other stuff, unless they change of market and change of direction in terms of that. But beyond US, US, I think that the foreign crude oil price has weighed on Asia equity and currency, especially South Korea, which heavily imports oil that pass through the Strait of the region. For that, I see that in that Asia market, like I said at the beginning, the index there is highly hit. As we speak, the index that market don't have almost collapsed by 10.56% or 10.6%, for the past 1 week. That said that it has weighed on the market. While indexes in Europe, like I said earlier, are still on also on the big drop since April. When try to oscillate, go up and down. Oil price is also looking up. And the good news here is that in a move to ease some of this concern, US has announced it will allow the sale of Russia oil to India for a period of 30 days. You can see that these circumstances are changing a lot of things, which is also good because what is happening today is going to affect a lot of manufacturing hub because of crude oil crude movement and lifting up their production cycle and other stuff. But I believe that without this, we expect to see that the world leaders should do the needful to put a halt to this crisis and let normalcy return to the world again. On this note, let's move to what is happening in Africa. Africa, we look at what is also happening here, in our market to see, what is happening on NGS. We'll start from looking at the NGS. NGS is not being by looking green, and look at that of Ghana, and South Africa, Egypt, and Tunisia, and you see that the market is mixed. But good news that some of them are looking up right now for me. It's a plus for the global market also, even as Africa remains a bit stable during this 7 days crisis we have seen so far. For me, it's also a good news to show that yes, Africa market at a level has sustained its rally since the beginning of the year, extending what they did in the past year. Most of the African market closed in green, and that trend is still there as we speak. Right now, there that NGS is still very much in green. We're seeing a positive market right now start from there. We're seeing about 31 against 31 advancer against 23 losers. And it tells you that yes, that this market is also what investors should also look out for. We are seeing that the index that is the major market index is also sustaining a good momentum. But in this regard, you pay attention to more of what your index, the sectoral indices and individual company have always said this repeatedly. But to speak now, say that the market is doing 197,000 back again to cross that yesterday. It crossed it that it touched almost as high as 100 and 97,987.11 yesterday before pulling back below it, but that crossed this morning again after market had traded a range of 196,804.86 at the range of 100 high as well today at 194,322.66. Right now, to speak, the market is stable at what 197,069.25, gaining 0.13. This morning, market have recorded almost 0.5%, 0.31 this morning. But to speak now, the index is all by what 262.10 basic point for me. Yes, market remain strong as continue to trade above the T line. That is the good news right now as we speak in the market. That means we need to pay attention to this. It's very, very important. When you see market stabilizing, don't look away from such market. And even as all eyes are still to see more audited accounts that we hitting the market, and also how those numbers shape this market is very, very crucial at this point. That's why we must pay attention to all these numbers that have been released to the market. They are very, very important to you and I. Don't look away from those numbers. They are good things that you should pay attention to, that to help you all to make informed investment decision anytime, any day. Yes, our topic today is talking number on what on Nestle Nigeria. We're talking also on Nascon and also on Dangote sugar. What we are discussing about talking about on commercial on consumer goods, but because we're still expecting results from full results from Unilever, from that of Capri and others in that sector, so that we can now look at them instead of doing our industrial comparison and stuff of today. We're looking at this thing that they are putting account and keep the market, so we can get insight of what this number look like and where to start with. Yes, I will tell you that these numbers are looking good. Looking at the three companies I just mentioned, want to look at their financials. It's very, very key. They have audited account that are released to the market, and I'll tell you that kind of dynamics that come with this number, and see that the sector have strengthened its recovery across different companies. If the whole sector is becoming stronger from their previous years, losses, and now we're seeing many of them coming up, even some paying higher dividends. For me, it's a good one for the sector. We're seeing the growth in that of that of Nascon dividend from 2 naira to almost 6 naira. That is fantastic. But for the industry at large, I'll tell you, this is a real turnaround for that industry from what we see the previous year, 2024 and 2023. Now, this 2025 look better for most of the company in that sector, and that is the good news in this result. That in this audited account that we're seeing from this company, that means we must pay attention to all these companies. For me, I'll say that the 2025 result has make it very clear for every investor that the narrative for consumer goods has changed, especially for these three companies. I put others we're going to discuss more later. If you look at that, the number that came from Nestle Nigeria and that of Nascon is a pure demonstration of what of rebound, and that shows that the profitability is what every investor is looking at, and shareholders' return is key. And that I'm sure from the figure that yes, these companies are back to reward their shareholders, and that of Dangote sugar showed what a great a turnaround in the company, a sign of stability returning. But we look forward to see that they come out from also from negative position, just like we've seen in the result that came from Nestle, coming out from total loss, to have to pay insurance, a point that I'm likely start seeing a reward in 2026. But for that of Dangote sugar, I see also them great improvement. This is a company that I can see that there's a strong turnaround, and also for me it's encouraging because this sign of stability we're seeing there is also what I believe that also will interest most of investors in the market. Those are also taking for medium and long term to pay attention, because I see that if you are looking for where to get value, you might not go there for now to work. If you do that, I think in medium and long because of the calendar of the companies in that sector, not in that but companies that are under Dangote group, what we are expecting, starting from refinery to fertilizer to the Delta merger, but from the shareholders agenda from Nascon, and we have not seen that of we have not seen any measure, but I believe that for the calendar we know that going to happen more likely, for those that are thinking value, see where they can put their money. Immediately you start seeing Dangote refinery coming and fertilizer. Once they are done with all this work, the next agenda will be on the merger, so that the rise, can stabilize. Already consider Nascom as part of the group is doing fantastic well. Then we are seeing a major turnaround in Dangote sugar. That also interests you to know what to do. And that's why today we will starting to say, let's start from the figure that no, let's start from Nestle. Let's see a figure that Nestle released to the market. What are the things they highlight? What are the major things that you also look at for that result? Because I tell you, in every result, there are some good things that investors are willing to look at. Let's turn for look at the Nestle result. Fine, you can see the figure here. If you look at this number, I will tell you that this number is fantastic. Look at the top line, because we know that every financial valuation that comes in three sections, put at table that you must not despise the chairman comment or the chairman's report, and also the managing director, which is the one driving the management and the implementing the policies of the board. You also want to know what are they planning to do. But looking at the figure here, after looking at the profit and loss account, you go through the balance sheet, and also you can also go and see the cash flow. Like I always say, go to those administrators will know that when your cash flow is becoming positive, looking up and your earnings will go down. That's a double for that company to sustain its profitability, because profitability is key when looking at financials, because you are investing for the future. Because most of these results we are looking at, they are talking about what has happened in the past. Then you are going to know, you must see that consistency that yes, the future is bright from what you are seeing. That will also help you to make what you are focused and move in that direction. But looking at the figure from Nestle now, look at the top line. I'll tell you that this is very, very fantastic. Yes, you must see that the top line, say that way to say company top line is good, you can see it times two of what inflation is today. Our inflation is around that 14 times 2 is about 20K. But right now, I can see that the top line of Nestle is about almost 26% right now, moving from about 958.81 billion to 1.21 trillion. For me, it's a good news. Growing the top line by almost 26%. This is a good news for every market. We are seeing that this the first time that the company is crossing the 1 trillion naira mark for the first time. It's a plus for them, and for me, I see that the net profit also moving on to almost the net profit from a loss position to almost a zero 100 and 5 billion, from a loss of 100 and you can see it here, from a loss of 100 and 164.6. For me, it's a good one. If you look at the return here, you can see that this is also almost 100, how many percent in the bottom line. That's about if you check the change in terms of growth, because it's a loss position. Yes, but don't forget it's almost like 100% down from negative 164 period. That's almost going the whole round 100%. But that is what the figure is pointing out. But good news for them that they are now having a dramatic turnaround from 164.6 billion loss posted in 2020. Put the figure you can see here is also pointing out to look at the profit for the year, look at where they are coming from. Then yes, we have seen that other incomes here. We saw other income improving from 7 or something million to almost 1.2 billion. That for me is also a good news for Nestle. And at the end of the day, you can see that also the expenses. Don't forget that things have changed. Cost of trade and administrative attendants also are looking up. At the end of the day, what is the profit before tax? Is very, very, look at what before tax. We're seeing now from a negative of 221 billion to 466.85 billion. Good news for the company. And what does it translate to? Relatively, their share issue is very small. And you can see that their earning per share, from a loss of 207.65 to 132. For me, it's a good one for Nestle. This is a strong turnaround we are seeing here. And also go to the balance sheet. I'll tell you that the balance sheet, is not doing badly. Let's quickly look at the balance sheet for this company. Okay, now let's quickly look at the balance sheet to see how it looks like. And I'll tell you that the balance sheet is not looking bad at all. Yes, shareholders, position has done positive from negative, which is also good. So that improvement in what in the balance sheet of the company. You can see that the total assets, altogether is about 846.16 billion against what against the 855. For me, it's still kind of a decline, but very marginal. But we want to look at the net assets, which is the total assets my total liability. You can see that the net assets here, we can say that shareholders equity has turned positive from 92.9 billion loss to 12, and this is turnaround, and that's why they sign a data that are likely to see the world this current year is high, looking at this balance sheet and also the top line of the company. We quickly look at also the cash flow. The cash flow of this company is also very, very important here. Cash flow, look at the cash flow for the period. Now, but our eyes is targeting more on what on the net cash flow for the period is very, very key. Net cash flow from operation, you can see that yes, you can see that it has really improved, even when we have seen an increase in increase in working capital and all those adjustments here and there. But at the end of the day, you can see that there's a greater improvement in the cash flow for the period for the company. Because of our time, people look for, let's say, move to Nascon before we look at what that of Dangote itself. So before we move to Nascon, I'll tell you that yes, this strong performance from Nestle is a positive thing, that as shareholder return to positive shareholders fund is a good one, and also it's a sign of relief for shareholders and what in Nestle. And the key factor here is this recovery was was slightly driven by what by the finance cost, at the same time we are seeing that the we are seeing a stability in the naira and also lower foreign exchange. These are losses. These are the things that also impacted the number. Good one, and also we'll see that export sales also impacted this one, and that is good. I can see the impact of what the free trade zone export sales also is part of what really impacted on the Nestle result. People already look at what is happening in Nascon as we speak. Nascon result is displayed here, and that also gives us an insight that as a traders or investor, we need to know the kind of business model and also the figure that the numbers, the company, the business model, and what the figures are looking like. If you look at the top line, so more distinct figure, in terms of growth, we see that even when Nascon result is still below is still not below trillion, but we are seeing good numbers, good movement in their performance, and that's why all markets are saying that the merger that will come between this company, the Dangote rice, and that of sugar will change the Dangote food if they come to the market, bringing on all the top lines of these three companies. You see that they will double even that of Nestle and other, but let's see how it goes as we expect to see. I've not seen results from result of this price is not public yet now. But once they come, also look at that. But look at this figure from 120 billion, 120.4 billion to 152.69 billion, and that is representing a growth of almost 27%. Each of more than that of Nestle marginally. But if you look at the company, you can see that the numbers here are looking very good and enticing. And also because of the share issue is also relatively small. These are the things that investors should pay attention to. When a company relative share issue is small, it has a work for also imparting the shares, its price itself. We saw that of Nestle was just below 800 million shares, and this this share of Nascon is also a stock that's also around below around 5 or something billion shares as we speak now. If you look at the shares, around that is one thing that we should pay attention also to. This relative shares is very, very important. When you are seeing that relative shares is small, it gives investors more confidence to look really on that stock, because it is relative shares instead also that will support the price when their share issue is relatively small. And that is why I can see that the Nestle price is stable with their impressive performance. These are the things they are enjoying as we speak now. But let's also keep our finger crossed and see where these stocks are going. But for Nascon, the numbers are telling the story already where the company is going. If you look at the bottom line is also more than 100% growth, 3-digit growth. If you look at the bottom line, and don't forget, if you see this finance income, it's gone across most of these big security companies, consumer sector, most of them, you can see that they really have made money from their finance income. We don't know what they trade with it, and their cost of production have declined to reflect the depleted dollar, and also declining what interest rate, even when it's not sharp, we're still reflecting more. That means if we see further decline in interest rate, that will be a boost for most of this company also, and also companies are becoming very cost efficient. That's also another thing. At the end of the day, the bottom line, which is the profit after tax, was up by 115%. For me, it's a good one, from 15.6 billion to 33.153 billion. This is huge, and that transforms to what an earning per share of almost how many as to speak now, 10 naira something right away. For me, it's also a good one for the stock, and that tells you that we're not surprised seeing the stock paying almost what almost paying almost 6 naira. That translates to 12 naira 41 kobo as we speak, and that also have supported the 6 naira dividend they are paying. Don't forget that they earlier paid 2 naira into dividend. For me, it's a good one for the company, and that also gives a pointer if the merger come, what they're going to see. With this kind of companies coming together, what are they going to produce at the end of the day? We must pay attention to that. We quickly look at what is the balance sheet size of this company and what is the great thing there. If you look at the balance sheet size, yes, it's also looking up. Look at the total assets moving from 78.5 billion to 135. You can see that's almost a double in terms of movement. That's a pointer that we also look at. And shareholders fund remain positive. Retained earnings has moved also sharply from 41.27 billion to 69.4 billion. Strong one here for me, and so that's also, I think that the reward for shareholder is also looking up, and that is why we must pay attention to see how handsome this reward is, how it's going to play out. And 2026 is another year we must pay attention to. But when we are doing the industry review, we'll not tell you more about the prospect for 2026. It's very, very important that we look at that. These are the things that we need to also consider as a investors, and that the cash flow is very, very important. As I'm going there, I will I'm trying to be fast. Look at the cash flow for this company for 2025. From 4 no point something billion to 41. See that this company are making money and can see it reflecting. For me, it's a good one for what the company. Let's quickly go back to see what's happening in Dangote Sugar. But before that, I'll tell you that the performance in this Dangote Group salt refinery is very outstanding, and the performance is looking up. I've seen profit doubling and also rewarding shareholder handsomely. For me, it's so significant that increase in their dividend shows that what investors expect in this current financial year. Even when prices have gone ahead of this number, I believe that the performance from their Q1 also give an hint where they are going for 2026. That's why all eyes to build on this company. I will see outstanding performance from them is where there is a pointer to where they are going, and that's why every market player should not put all this company because we are seeing strong earning reflecting on the price, and also we expect that dividend of 6 naira is more than 200% growth. Okay, let's say 200% growth from 2 naira they paid the previous year to what we are seeing at the end of 2025. For me, it's a good one. Even who was say yes, the price have the dividend have been compressed, and also other, but I'll tell you from this payout it's a very, very good one. And so the company also having strategic investment in new compressed natural gas. It's also truck. It's also a plus, reducing the cost of movement of their goods. It's also an expansion. So for me, it's also a good one. Let's keep our finger crossed in this kind of company, and also with reducing their exposure to volatility in diesel price, lowering its carbon footprint. For me is also a good one for the company. I feel that the Nascon has somewhere that it's going. With the merger, putting all these companies together, that will bring what a good strong number for Dangote food anytime it comes over. Saying good prospect in rice, in sugar and salt. I see the combination of this company, how solid they are. If with it, yes, let's start from Dangote. I'll start at Dangote. We are seeing a continual feel of pressure on its high GI before, and also finance cost on the board. Good news that in 2025 we are seeing a slowdown in that, also showing a sign of what stability and a strong move, from what strong move towards recovery and a complete turnaround. For me, it's a good one. At the top line, you can see from here, the top line also climbed by sorry, the top line also climbed by how many percent? The top line is almost all by 24%. For me, it's a good one for sugar. I was seeing that the top line is up by almost 24.6%. That's why you can see the movement here. When I said that, that when you see sugar, and that of what's it called, sugar and salt and the rice, that when they come together, that we're going to see 2 trillion, 1.8, 1.5. It's possible if Dangote sugar alone, I was seeing the top line moving from 200 and something billion to almost 800, that's approaching 1 trillion. If you add even you've already seen that they have crossed that 1 trillion. Well, add rice to it again. If rice does come, I see that yes, there's business, the top line, the market expanding, even with everyone having an opportunity to sell outside the shop in Nigeria, and also given the population we have today, these consumer goods and the more we're seeing stable FS, stable FS and inflation coming down, the more we're going to see these companies making money. For me, I see that those that are thinking medium and long run this company, yes, you can see because of the loss, you can pull out, but I think there's opportunity for those that are thinking long. It might not be for dividend because if I expect them to pay dividend from this loss position, for capital appreciation, a pullback to this stock should be an opportunity for you to buy. For those that are traders, let's pay attention to this because all these are something that deflate price, and I'm not surprised. Those that have bought the stock at 85, 88, when they touch that 88 recently, don't need to panic if you have not sold. You want to extend your waiting period in that stock and see how the recovery also will be fast between now and end of the end of half year. Top line and share area is also supported by adjustment what sales volume. Let's see how it's going to sustain. It's successful. Now, those who will just see on the loss account also we see press tax loss account we have seen about 70. You can see that here if you check here from almost 270 billion loss to this, it's a sign. And even when also the tax for the period would pay tax mean they're making loss, you can see from 78 billion to this. At the end of the day, this also reflected because of the drop in also in tax. But let's say that turnaround where there will be profit, that will be more attractive for us to do. But who knew that both top line is in green, their market is still there, they're expanding their market. That is where we also focus our attention if their market is also looking up. Yes, as we speak now, we need to know the amount of let's say their exposure, the shareholders fund, that is, let's say I know the position of shareholders fund now is very, very important as we speak. Let's look at shareholders fund cumulatively. Shareholder fund, yeah, consider the cumulative loss is also increasing here from calculated one. But if you look at also because the cumulative loss is increasing, until the come out shareholders fund also become positive, we need to also see the ask from there. But you can see that controlling interest at the end of the day, you can see that the shareholders fund is not really negative altogether. But let's see how that means the possibility of if they're able to structure the account and cut on out from loss position, the possibility of they paying a dividend is there if they're able to come out from their loss. For me, it's a good one. For this figure we're staying here, let's see the accumulated loss as a great can see it here today, but I believe that once they turn positive, able to directly their loss and also wipe away and turn positive. Let's keep our eyes on this one. The good thing that I believe that the company has continued its backward integration project that will boost world local sugar production. This is a long-term strategy that I believe that is crucial for them in order to reduce world reliance on importation and shield themselves also from future currency world volatility. If this thing is here to see that the recovery is on the side already. For those that are in that stock that don't want to sell off, but for me, if you want to go out and come and find, or I see that the stock, any pullbacks an opportunity to buy. For those that are not there at all and see that the balance sheet also, like I said, that balance sheet is also showing stability also gradually. But I see relief on their balance sheet. That relief is also what we should also look at the end of the day. But in all, I see that these companies have not done well as Nestle return to profit and positive equity shareholders fund and dividend expectation to resume any moment from 2026. That means more likely we're expecting a monthly dividend from Nestle as usual, and that of Nascon we're seeing that the stability of such and that shows that this company is ready to reward shareholder and good reward of shareholder also support price anytime, any day. For sugar, we are seeing a positive top line. I'll tell you that they sharply narrowed what losses, and that also will improve gross margin. Focusing on local production will also help them. And I believe at the end of the day, this sector is a place to watch. And also, if what is happening globally is resolved in no distance time, that will be a plus for the market generally and also different sector. On this note, before I say we're done recording, we quickly look at the chart to see what the market is doing. Market is almost forming the same chart pattern we saw we saw on Wednesday. Yes, let's say this also a sign of weakness, but at this range, the market is also like a call a topping. Now see here and here, and it does not break out. The market break out this region, I will consider that yes, a new trend. But for me, there's no cause for alarm. A market has shown trend as all eyes are more audited account in this month, especially those companies that release their audited account in the month of January will be due to release their word to release their final account in this month of March, between now and the 31st of March. For that, there is no cause for alarm for me. Let's keep our finger and buy into value. But if you had profit, don't forget to take your profit, because the market will not expect you if you click on the same market that give you the money that people also damage. Take your profit, slowly and watch the direction of the market. You look at the charts, the market is trending up here. Why the momentum MACD is also down on the daily chart, and why money flow is also passing from below 50 points as we speak now. If you look at 1 hour chart before we say the 1 hour chart is also money flow is looking down below 50 on the 1 hour chart, and MACD is also negative. But the negative is bearish right now, and while the market is start trending on top of what it's been like. Yes, on this note, I'll say thank you. See you on Monday. Bye.